Hello, this is Adrian Capricorn Digress of astrologyalook.inside.com. And Astrology a Look Inside is about going inside and looking at all the different parts of ourselves. And in this case, okay, this is about me talking about more inside stuff. So I'm going to expose some things in this particular message that I've not really exposed in my life because I just figured this out today. I was just sitting there and I was looking at the fact that we've got Mars in Leo, which is I have Mars in Leo by birth. And this Mars in Leo is falling in my seventh house. The seventh house is reaching out to other people. And at this point, I really did it. I put my foot in it. I said I was going to do the Astrology Lovers podcast again. And I went out to this group and I put out the word, and all the woo-woo people have responded. And there's like 50 people who said they want to do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how Mars in Leo is that, right? So over the next few months, we're probably going to have lots of podcast interviews on the astrology channel and on the podcast, which is great, right? Reaching out. But I realized, that Mars in the seventh house energy has made me, I'm trying to put it in the right words, and I'm trying to say it in such a way that I'm not going to offend anyone. Because there might be some women who have way more than what I'm about to say here, and I don't want to make anyone feel bad about what I'm about to say. But before I go into what I'm about to say, I will say that Pluto, which makes us delve into the deeper recesses of everything, right? Pluto makes us delve deep. It makes us look within. In my case, because it's in my first house, I'm looking within myself. And also Mercury in Aquarius is in my own horoscope at 3 degrees. So Pluto is sitting on my Mercury, and here I am exposing this crazy a secret that I've never exposed ever in the world to anyone before. And what this is I realized as I was sitting earlier that I've been with quite a number of partners. I've had quite a number of partners in my lifetime. And like I said, I am not trying to slut shame anybody. This is not about slut shaming. But yeah, I was a slut, and I don't know how to put it into another way of saying that. I went through slutty periods. Let's put it that way. Over the last 15 years, I've only had like two partners. Like if I went all the way back to 2005, let's say, I've only been with 3 guys since 2005. So my slutty days were my early days, obviously not over the age of like 45. Okay. So just know I slowed down, obviously somewhere in there, I would say around in my 40s. Right. But, yeah. So I started looking at the numbers, and I started looking at it by state. It's one thing to be a slut, but it's another thing to be a slut by state. And I'm not saying I was a slut. Okay. My cousin once said this to me, and I just realized that's got to be another plus. I gave myself a number, and then there's a plus 10. At first it was a plus 5. And then I was like, no, a plus 10, because I can think of more guys. But, I'm going to list it by state, and then you'll understand where I'm at. So I'm going to go kind of in a weird way, because I'm going to say, right now in Washington State, I've only had one partner, and that I've been here since 2010. So I've only slept with one guy, which is the guy I married, since 2010. So I really want to preface this. I don't want anyone thinking, oh, this woman is just out there. Da, 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 da. No, one man since 2010. Okay, it is now 2025. That means in 15 years, I've had one man. Okay, in 2010 or 2009, I guess it was, or it might have been 2010. I can't remember. I did sleep with my ex. He showed up, and we just had that one last thing. And I guess that happens, right? So that's why I said in 15 years, there's one or two, because That's before I came to Seattle. And then I left Kentucky. In Kentucky, I had that I slept with 2. The truth is, I slept with 3. I remembered there were 3. Okay, and I don't want to go into the details. Just know there were 3. And really, one of the reasons I did was when you're in a long-term relationship, because went there with my second husband, and he started cheating on me almost immediately after we got there. Like almost immediately he changed. And I knew he was no good when I got with him. I mean, the guy was like living in a halfway house. He lied about it. And I still stayed with him even after I found out that he had been a felon. So it was my mistake. That was all my mistake. Okay. So I don't know if you know this, but I believe that if you're in a relationship and the relationship is a long-term one like that, and that guy's off doing whatever he has to do already. I mean, and you're sitting around pondering and whining and worried about what he's doing. The best way to get over that is to go and have sex with another guy. It is. It breaks the bond. There is a sexual bond. If you want to break the sexual bond, you go have sex with someone else. I have not slept with anyone else, and I'm still in some kind of limbo with my ex-husband. I call him my ex, but I don't know if we're legally divorced because I didn't divorce him. I don't know if he divorced me, but I also have not slept with anyone else. And I still feel like until I do, we're going to be in limbo. Maybe he has in the last 7 years. I have not slept with anyone in 7 years. So we got 1 for Washington State, 3 for Kentucky. I put 15 for New Jersey. And this is where some of my plus 10 comes into. It could be easily 25 instead of 15, but I'm going to say 15 because I'm going to say 20. Okay, I'll give it 5 more. There was a lot. Okay, I don't want to say I was a slut. I had my moments. I don't know how to put it into words. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I feel like if you're an attractive girl, and I was a very attractive girl for a very long time. I stayed young looking for a very long time. And I was, I guess, what you would call extremely attractive for the most part, even as a plump woman, which is probably why I just went through relationships because I had self-esteem issues. So I would say in New Jersey, it was hard. I would just go outside and they would find me. It was hard to not be in a relationship. They would chase me down. I just remember guys coming by and trying to get with me or have me go back with them. And I just wouldn't. It was weird. In Georgia, I put 2. I only remember 2 in particular. I could be wrong in that there could be a plus 1 or 2 there. I know that sounds awful, but I only remember 2, but I remember several other guys copping feels, trying to get me to do things with them. And it doesn't count for sex, but I'm going to say, I'm going to give a plus 2 there because there could have been something that went further and I can't remember. California, I've got 2. There could be a plus 1 there. I can't remember. I'm thinking there was only 2. I just remember this one UPS guy came over and took pictures of me in like boudoir photos. I just don't remember if I gave it up to him or not. This is a horrible conversation. Anyway, Pennsylvania, here's the big mama jamma. Okay, so after my first divorce, I left Alaska, and I'm going to do Alaska first before I do Pennsylvania. So when in Alaska, I'm going to give Alaska, I have 15, but I'm really going to give Alaska more like 20. I can't remember, but I just remember men were easy to find in Alaska. They were always coming after me. There was a lot of men in Alaska, especially in the 80s and 90s. And I was there then when there was like 14 men to every woman. And like I said, I was attractive. I was a disc jockey. I was in a band. Imagine I'm like on stage. Guys were after me all the time. So I'm going to just say 20 for Alaska. And then I've got 20 for Pennsylvania. It might be more. That's why I said I have plus 10, but it might be more. Yeah. It might be more than 20. It might be more like 22, 23. I don't know. There was this thing after I left Alaska, because I left my first husband and I moved when I got to Pennsylvania, which was across the bridge from Jersey. I I dated guys from Pennsylvania because they were always better. I don't know. They always had cars. They always had nice places. A lot of them were like ballers. You know what I mean? They played sports and stuff. And it was, I don't know how to put it. So I would say I went through about 23 guys in Pennsylvania. So altogether, I had 57, but really with the plus 10, it's like 67. And I am not, like I said, over the last 15 years, you guys, I've been with one guy, really, since 2010. But when I was younger, I was beautiful at a certain, for certain men thought I was beautiful. And, I mean, for a while, I didn't have to pay for anything. They were paying for my whole way. That's how I lived. That's how I survived. I mean, I want to keep it real. I remember getting a job because I knew how to cross my legs like Sharon Stone. Let's keep it real. And so I just want to say these things because I don't know how many women are honest enough. To me, I feel like I faced my shadow when Pluto went on opposed or Mars opposed this Pluto in my first house, and I had to look at myself and go, oh my gosh, you were a slut. Like, you went through 67 guys. And it happened in the early portion of my lifetime, thank God, but it happened. And I don't want to make pretend it didn't happen. I don't know how I feel about that. I will say this though. And it's probably because I have Venus in the 10th house. So it's probably why I'm this femme fatale or whatever I ended up being. But when I was in love, I was in love. Like, it wasn't like I was just fooling around. I know in Pennsylvania, all those like 20 some guys, I know a lot of that was just fooling around. I wasn't really serious about anything. I had just gotten out of a horrible marriage. I wasn't trying to find another one. I was just trying to get mine, if that makes sense. I wasn't trying to be anything. And I eventually did end up being some preacher's girlfriend for an extended time. Of all things, right? It's crazy. A lot of times we don't want to face our shadow because everyone has a shadow. And I guess my moon is in Taurus. It's in my 4th house. My Venus is in Scorpio in my 10th house. And I've got Mars in Leo in the 7th house. What a T-square. It is called Tramp. I was accessible. Okay. I was trampy. And I wasn't easy. It wasn't like this 67 guys all happened at once. But it was my boundaries are so much higher than they were when I was younger, like in my 30s or early 40s or 20s. Oh gosh. I didn't realize that I was being a femme fatale. I was being a little bit on the trampy side. Now, considering there are girls who have sex with 100 guys at one time, having slept with 67 men is not anything that anywhere near that. But as a mother and a potential grandmother and now a woman in her 60s, I was mortified to find that I had slept with that many men. I never realized it. I'm lucky. I never caught anything. I didn't have a bunch of children. I have one daughter. I had gotten pregnant before, but I lost the other children. And but I've been lucky. I was married 3 times. I gotten a couple of diamonds. I was I was lucky. Now, not every woman is as lucky as far as finding husbands or men that are willing to take care of you or pay for things or give you diamonds and things like that. I was lucky in that way. As I look back now at the age of 62, can't believe that. I'm just grateful I made it through. I made it through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early odds, the teens of the and now I'm in the 2020s. And you know, it's funny. I guess I lived my life to the best of my ability, and I'm grateful I survived. Not all my acquaintances and people that I knew survived. Some died of AIDS and other things along the way. So I feel grateful that I survived the AIDS pandemic. I survived the crack pandemic. I survived the cocaine pandemic, the ecstasy pandemic, the Molly pandemic. I survived it all. And I am grateful to say that I'm a survivor and that it was exciting to live the life that I lived. Maybe I'll write a book about it, okay? Because each one of those guys has its own story. Anyway, my short ribs are ready. I'm going to go eat my dinner. Much love, much light. I've exposed my inner truth. So, Pluto on Mercury in Aquarius in my first house. Many blessings to all.